Hello, I'm Dave Branson with FieldTRAKS Solutions. In this screencast, I'll be demonstrating how to import geographic features that are stored in a shapefile format into FieldTRAKS. For the demonstration, I'll be creating geographic points representing weather stations that will be associated with a farm. The steps to import any farm or field level geographic object are very similar. To import any geographic data into FieldTRAKS, it is necessary to first know the structure of the data objects you're importing. For instance, are the coordinates in latitude, longitude, or projected UTM coordinates? And do the attributes include the necessary descriptions that will enable the objects to be linked to their appropriate owners in the FieldTRAKS database? For instance, if you're importing farm level objects such as fields, weather stations, and storage bins, it is important that the farm name be included in the attribute file. If you're importing field level objects such as soil sample locations, you must include the field name in order for the system to know which is the correct parent object. The second step is to launch the FieldTRAKS data mapper and create an import template that will describe the structure of the file being imported and how it will map to the appropriate FieldTRAKS activity. This template can be saved and reused each time a file of the same structure is imported. It's similar whether you're using it for shapefiles or other data files such as CSV files. Once the import template has been created, you can proceed with importing the data. The system allows you to review the data you're importing and interactively select or deselect which records to import before you commit the upload to the database. Once satisfied that your template is correctly interpreting your import data and that you have the correct records selected, you approve the import and the records are uploaded to the database. For this demonstration, I will be adding weather stations to a farm as new objects. Once these have been created, I will be able to attach daily and hourly weather station records. My import data will consist of a point shapefile that will include latitude, longitude coordinates and will include attribute data fields for the farm name and the name of the weather stations. Other object attributes that are included in the FieldTRAKS event details can also be included. In the case of weather station objects, these include the unique station IDs. For my sample data, I will be using climate data available from Environment Canada Weather Office website. This gives location details for weather stations throughout Canada and also provides hourly and daily weather observations in a downloadable format. You see here we're in the highlighted area. We have the latitude and longitude coordinates for the Ottawa International Airport. Using my GIS software, I have created a shapefile that contains the location for the Ottawa and Kemptville weather stations. I have also included data fields for the weather station names, their IDs, and which farm they will be imported to. I can see from the layer properties that the shapefile contains point geometry and that the coordinates are in latitude, longitude, degrees. Once the data has been imported to FieldTRAKS, my farm will include a new object layer called weather stations and will have 2 points showing the locations of the weather stations we have imported. In the grower profile, there are 2 event types related to weather stations for storing hourly and daily observations. Here's the daily and here's the hourly. Once these data have either been keyed in or uploaded, they are visible in the data grid below the map window where they can be queried and included in reports. To get started, download and install the FT Data Mapper from the FieldTRAKS website and log in with your username and password. The first time you log in, you will see an empty list of templates and will need to create a new template to describe the data you are importing. To get started in creating my template, I go in, select what type of file format I'm importing. In this case, I am importing a shapefile. I could also be importing CSV and Excel format files for event details. So anyways, with this case, we'll select shapefile. The data is local on my machine, and I give the import template a name. So in this case, I will call it weather station points. And I browse to my sample location for the shapefile, in this case here, Shapefiles. Here's the file that I've created. If I want to give that a description, I can do that over here. I'll just call it weather stations. And I select the activity that the data is going to be associated to. So in this case, we are adding a weather station. It's an object creation event. I need to know the format of my dates for when I'm importing the event details. In this case, it's just geographic objects. There are no dates associated to it, so we don't need to concern ourselves with this. I need to select a unique column to map the points against the FieldTRAKS object. Before I do that, I need to load the sample data. And then now it brings up the columns out of our database. I select farm name because the points are going to be associated to the farm. So that's my linking column. Down in this area here, we have a list of the field names which are available in the event type called add a weather station. So against the object name, we are going to map the weather station name, which is also called object name in this case. Point is not mapped. Weather station ID, we do have a weather station ID that matches up, and we have a WMO ID that matches up. The only one that really is required here is the object name. Once I'm satisfied that I've done all the mappings correctly, I can save the changes. And when I'm ready to import the data, go to select Import Data, and it has automatically selected my weather station template since that's the only one here. Now I'm ready to go and select the shapefile that I'm going to import. So I browse for this shapefile. In this case, it's called the Ottawa Weather Station. LL, my format, just to indicate that it is in lat-long coordinates. Open that file. And if the data was in UTM coordinates, I would select that here and indicate which UTM zone it's in. But it's in lat-long, so that's fine. And I have to define which folder I'm going to associate the data to. In this case, 2010 is the only folder I have for this farm. Logging in, it's brought up my list of farms. I only have one farm on this for this user called the Ottawa Valley. If I process the data, it goes through and finds I have two records, and hitting these drop-down arrows will give me the structure of the data that's being imported. So here I have a record for the Kemptville station and the Ottawa station, and below we have the geographic coordinates already converted to UTM for the database and any attributes that are associated with those objects. Happy that that's if I only wanted to import one of them, I could go over here and select which ones I want to turn off. Once satisfied that this is the correct data to be imported and everything is mapping out correctly, I hit approve. And that uploads the data to the database. I can check the data that I've uploaded by logging back into the FieldTRAKS web application. So I'll just type in my username and password here for this grower. And brings me to the main screen. Select the farm that I've just uploaded the data against. And we can see here that I now have, in addition to fields and water wells, I now have a weather station layer with the Kemptville and the Ottawa weather stations. And if I zoom in here and get new imagery, I can see that the location here is showing up right over top of the Ottawa airport. Now down the bottom, if I go and retrieve the hourly and daily summaries, that would show up over in the tabs. At this point, all we've uploaded is the weather station location, so we'd have to go back and repeat the process to upload the activities. And that concludes the demonstration. Thank you.